I was 28 years old when I realized the man I had trusted for 7 years had been lying to me every single day. If someone had told me my own husband would betray me like this, I would have laughed, because I believed we had the perfect marriage. We were not rich, we were not famous, but we loved each other. At least that is what I thought. Every morning I woke up before sunrise, made breakfast, packed his lunch, worked a full-time job, then came home to cook dinner. Life was not easy, but I never complained, because I believed we were building a future together. My husband always told me the same thing: we have to save every dollar. No expensive clothes, no vacations, no unnecessary spending. I agreed. For 7 years I wore the same old winter coat. I drove a 12-year-old car. I skipped birthdays. I skipped holidays. Sometimes I even skipped buying medicine just so we could save money. Whenever I asked about our finances, he smiled. We are almost there. Just trust me. And I did. I trusted him more than anyone else in the world. Then one Friday evening, everything changed. I left work early because I was not feeling well. I wanted to surprise him with dinner, but when I arrived home, his car was not there. I called him. No answer. An hour later, he finally texted, "Working late." I believed him until my phone buzzed again. It was a message from someone I did not know. The text said only 6 words. "Your husband is not where you think." Attached was a photograph. My hands froze. It showed my husband standing outside a luxury mansion. Beside him was his mother. Both of them were smiling. The timestamp on the photo was only 15 minutes old. I stared at the image for almost a minute. Maybe it was old. Maybe someone was trying to prank me. Then another message arrived. "Follow him tomorrow if you want the truth." I did not sleep that night. Every question imaginable raced through my mind. Why was he there? Why did he lie? Why did he not answer my calls? The next morning I followed him. He kissed me goodbye, smiled, and said, "I am going to work." I smiled back, then quietly got into my car and followed him. He did not drive toward his office. He drove across the city. 40 minutes later, he pulled into the same luxury neighborhood from the photograph. My heart started pounding. I parked a few houses away, watched him get out. Then I saw something that made my entire world collapse. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a key, and unlocked the front door of a multi-million-dollar mansion. He walked inside like he owned it, because he did, and I was about to discover the biggest lie of my entire life. For almost 2 minutes I could not move. I sat inside my car staring at the mansion. The house was enormous. White stone walls, a circular driveway, luxury cars parked outside, fresh flowers lined the entrance. This was not just an expensive home. It was worth millions. My husband had always told me we cannot even afford a decent vacation, yet somehow he had keys to this place. I waited. 20 minutes later, the front door opened. His mother walked outside carrying 2 cups of coffee. She handed one to him. Both of them laughed. They looked happy, comfortable, like they had been living there for years. Then another expensive SUV pulled into the driveway. A man in a business suit stepped out. He shook my husband's hand, then handed him several documents. I could not hear what they were saying, but I saw one thing clearly. My husband signed the papers. His mother smiled proudly. My stomach twisted. What papers? Why was she involved? I quietly took several pictures with my phone. An hour later, they all went back inside. I drove home. When my husband arrived that evening, he acted exactly the same. He kissed my forehead, asked about my day, complained about work, then sighed. "We are so broke. We need to save even more." I forced a smile. Inside, I was falling apart. That night, after he fell asleep, I quietly picked up his phone. For 7 years, I had never checked it. I trusted him, but trust had already been broken. His phone was not locked. The first thing I noticed was a banking app. I opened it. The balance appeared, $18.74. Exactly what I expected. Then I noticed another banking application, one I had never seen before. It required Face ID. I could not open it, but one thing caught my attention. A notification appeared. Property tax payment successful. Property. What property? The next morning while he was in the shower, his laptop lit up. An email notification appeared. The sender read Attorney Michael Lawson. The subject line made my blood run cold. Transfer of property ownership completed. I opened the email. Attached was a legal document. At the top, my husband's full name. Underneath, the address of the mansion. Owner my husband. Co-owner his mother. Purchase price $3,850,000. My hands started shaking. For 7 years he told me we could not afford new furniture. He refused vacations. He refused children because he claimed we were not financially stable. But secretly he had bought a mansion worth nearly $4 million. And somehow I knew this was not even the worst part. Then I reached the final page. There under the ownership section was a sentence that completely destroyed me. Spouse has no legal ownership interest in this property. I stopped breathing. He had not just hidden the house. He had intentionally made sure I would receive absolutely nothing. If our marriage ever ended, I quietly closed the laptop, looked toward the bathroom. The shower was still running. The man I loved had been planning this for years, and I was finally beginning to understand that our marriage had never been what I thought it was. The next morning, I called the best divorce attorney in the city. She answered on the second ring. My name is Sarah Mitchell. I think my husband has been planning to leave me with nothing. There was a brief silence. Then she calmly said, "Do not confront him. Come to my office tomorrow morning. You may still have more power than he realizes." The next morning, I placed every photo, every email, and every document on her desk. She examined everything carefully. Then she looked up at me and smiled. For the first time in days, someone gave me hope. She quietly said, "He believes he is smarter than you, but he made one mistake, a mistake that is about to cost him everything." I leaned forward and asked, "What mistake?" My lawyer folded her hands. "He transferred the mansion into his mother's name during your marriage." I nodded. She smiled and asked, "Did he use marital income?" I thought for a second. Every paycheck, every bonus, every tax refund had gone into the same household account for 7 years. I said, "I think so." She opened a thick law book. If he used marital assets to secretly buy property and intentionally hid it during the marriage, the judge may consider it fraud. For the first time in weeks, I smiled. Maybe I was not powerless after all. Over the next month, my lawyer hired a forensic accountant. Every bank transfer was traced. Every payment was documented. Every hidden account was uncovered. Then the biggest secret of all appeared. My husband was not broke. He had secretly hidden over $4,800,000 through shell companies and accounts controlled by his mother. I stared at the report. For 7 years, I skipped vacations. I wore old clothes. I worked overtime. While he was secretly building a fortune, my lawyer looked at me and said this case just became much bigger. 2 months later, the divorce hearing began. My husband walked into the courtroom wearing an expensive suit. His mother sat beside him. Both of them looked confident. When he saw me, he smiled as if he had already won. His attorney stood first. "Your Honor, my client legally owns the properties. Everything is properly documented. My client's wife has no ownership interest." His mother smiled proudly. Then my lawyer stood. She quietly placed 6 large binders on the judge's desk. "We would like to present evidence of financial fraud, hidden assets, intentional deception, and fraudulent transfer of marital property." The courtroom became silent. One by one, the evidence appeared on the screen. Hidden bank accounts, secret wire transfers, property purchases, luxury investments. Every document carried my husband's signature. Then came the hotel photographs. The judge slowly removed his glasses. "You told this court you were committed to your marriage." My husband looked down with no answer. Then the video from the hotel security camera played. There was no denying it. His affair, his lies, his deception. His mother's face turned pale. My lawyer was not finished. She produced another document, which was a voice recording. It was my husband speaking to his mother. If I hide everything under your name, she will leave with nothing. The courtroom fell completely silent. The judge looked directly at my husband. Did you say these words? He swallowed and said yes. That single word changed everything. The judge closed the file. I have seen enough. For the first time, the confident smile disappeared from my husband's face, and I realized the man who thought he had planned the perfect betrayal had just destroyed himself. The judge looked directly at my husband. For 7 years, you intentionally deceived your wife. You secretly transferred marital assets. You hid millions of dollars. You committed financial fraud. He paused and said, "This court will not reward dishonesty." My husband finally stood and said, "Your Honor, I can explain." The judge interrupted him. "You have had 7 years to explain. I have heard enough." A few minutes later, the final judgment was read. Every hidden asset was ordered to be included in the divorce settlement. The mansion, the investment properties, the secret bank accounts, everything. His mother tried to object, saying, "The house is mine." The judge calmly replied it was purchased using marital assets. The transfer was fraudulent. It belongs in the marital estate. She collapsed into her chair. My husband stared at me and his face had turned completely pale. Outside the courthouse, reporters surrounded us with microphones and cameras. I did not say a word. I simply walked away. For the first time in years, I finally felt free. 6 months later, the mansion was sold. The hidden accounts were frozen. The court awarded me my legal share of the assets. It was not about the money anymore. It was about justice. Instead of buying luxury cars, I invested. I started my own financial consulting company. I wanted to help women who had been financially controlled inside relationships. The business grew faster than I ever imagined. Within 4 years, my company had offices in 3 states. Thousands of women had rebuilt their lives. Every time someone thanked me, I thought about my younger self, the woman who believed she had nothing. One afternoon, my assistant walked into my office. "There is someone here asking to see you." I looked through the glass. Standing in the lobby was my ex-husband. He looked 10 years older. His expensive suits were gone. His confidence had disappeared. When he saw me, he slowly walked forward. "I made the biggest mistake of my life. I thought money mattered more than loyalty. I lost everything. I lost you." I looked at him quietly. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then I smiled, not because I still loved him, because I finally realized his betrayal had never defined my future. It had only revealed his character. I calmly said, "You did not lose me today. You lost me the day you chose lies over love." His eyes filled with tears. "I am sorry." I nodded and said, "I believe you. But forgiveness does not mean I have to come back." I turned around, walked toward my office, and never looked back. A few weeks later, I stood on the stage of a national business conference. More than 5,000 people filled the auditorium. They asked me one question: "What is the greatest lesson you have ever learned?" I smiled, then answered, "Someone can lie to you. They can betray you. They can even try to steal your future, but they can never stop you from rebuilding your life. Real success begins the moment you stop depending on people who never deserved your trust." The audience stood and applauded. As I walked off the stage, I looked up at the sky. In my heart, I whispered, I kept my promise. And I finally became the woman no one could ever break again.